Can that be seen as an act of war? Yes. Sending troops and bombs into a country is indeed an act of war. So basically, he wants to declare war on Mexico for Mexico having a problem with the cartels that is, once again, stems from our meddling in Central and South America and Mexico. Chris Christie specifically said that he wanted to usurp all state prosecutors and violate state laws and federal laws as well. And he wants a DOJ, the head of the DOJ that he would install would then go to every single state and tell that state that they now answer directly to the DOJ, and the DOJ will be handling all prosecution in the state, and no matter what the state law really is, and handle it federally, even if it's not a federal case. Is giga not allowed? Yeah, basically, yeah, it's completely not allowed. He wants to completely usurp all state prosecutors to be able to do and DAs to do exactly whatever he wants, whenever he wants, because that's more important. And throwing the criminals in jail that the big Dem-led city cringe the losers don't want to do because of their socialism and they love crime. That's what will ban crime. We're in office. Oh man, you don't even understand it. You don't even get it, dude. You don't even get it. He said that people are moving out of big cities and they're moving to like smaller cities, even though bigger cities are honestly really only getting bigger and they're not in very, very specific certain places. He says that big cities are getting smaller because the Soros bought DAs are not convicting criminals because that would be racist or something. And it was just very, very stupid. One of the big scenes from the night that you may see or have seen is basically when the announcers asked, would you still vote for and support Donald Trump if he was convicted of all of his crimes? And then Vivek was the guy who raised his hand up the highest and the fastest. And then everybody else slowly kind of inched their hands up afterwards. It was really sad to see. And this is right after they said law and order, where all of them said we're on their big law and order, we're going hard on all the criminals type stuff. But the criminal, like being hard on the criminals happens with them doing that over there, in the inner cities. Those inner city, in the thugs are the ones doing all that. But like us good, if a black goes to jail, it's probably in spite of them being black, because we all know that liberal DAs in big cities are super nice to the blacks because they don't want to be seen as racist. So blacks get off with so many crimes. But Donnie, all the DAs are against. Every DA wants to make a name for themselves by taking down our good boy Donnie Trumpy. And so we need to vote for him still because that's important. And I just think it's so curious that Ronnie, Meatball Ron would raise his hand, even begrudgingly, to vote for Donald Trump, even if he's convicted of several crimes, because when DeSantis got into office, his constituents voted for federally convicted felons who have served their time to be able to get their voting rights back, and he was actively fought against that and still took people to jail for exercising their rights no matter what, and to violating the law and violating the ballot measure that was put forward before he was in office, because he hated the idea of people who've committed crimes who probably wouldn't be voting for him because he wants them to be like fucking executed or some bullshit like that. So he's attacked them anyways. I just thought it was like crazy how Bros tries to run his super law and order and trying to take voting rights away from convicted felons and other criminals, even though they're still human beings who deserve human rights. And I think voting is a human right, as he says that he would vote for a convicted, possibly felon. But okay, curious, is it not? And all that again, because they were still circling the whole Donald Trump issue thing. I just thought it was super interesting because the whole time they got to the idea of, because Pence was on stage, they got to the idea of whether or not Pence should have tried to overturn the election for Donald Trump and against Joseph R. Biden Jr., Dark Brandon, as some people like to say. Brandon? Everybody on stage. I caught something that was super interesting. I'm not sure if everybody else caught it, but yeah, I haven't seen anybody else's reaction to this yet, so you can tell me. I thought it was super interesting that everybody on stage praised Pence for not listening to Trump, but almost nobody, and I think nobody specifically, took jabs at Donald Trump for doing what he did. for like trying to put through the fake electors, for inciting January 6th, for trying to overturn the election at the Supreme Court and in certain states, for trying to find 11,780 votes in Georgia and trying to manipulate Brad Raffensperger to be able to get those votes for him, for like saying that he won the election when he very clearly didn't, for saying that he won all these states that he very clearly didn't, for telling Pence to overturn the election. Nobody said anything bad about Trump for doing that, but they all praise Pence for not doing it. And I think it kind of shows the sort of tone shift in the Republican Party, how everybody was like, Trump didn't do it. Trump didn't do anything wrong. And if he did, it would have been based because he did win, actually. And this is our 1776. Trump is the greatest president to ever exist. To a sort of like mild, timid, like still like I'd vote for him, but yeah, he probably shouldn't do that and he shouldn't have done that, and I can't support it because that's really bad, and that would be like fly in the face of the sort of like you saw visibly on their face the sort of juxtaposition and incongruence with their law and order, constitutional conservative sort of beliefs, and also the idea of Donald Trump and how he flies in the face of literally all of that at all points in times of his presidency that made his presidency. That's what makes him Donald Trump. And it was just really interesting to see how they couldn't really parse that together. And so instead of like taking him down for trying to usurp the election, they just lifted Pence up for not doing it. And so I really think that this just proves that Donald Trump won the night, as in they can't even bring themselves to like say anything bad about him when he very clearly tried to steal an election for his own personal gain. So yeah, it's just super interesting. It's super weird, ain't it? It's just super strange, ain't it? None of them want Donald Trump to do it. Everybody said that Pence was good for not doing it, but nobody can bring themselves on stage in front of many Trump supporters to say that many Trump supporters, and many of them weren't even there because apparently the stadium wasn't even filled. Apparently, they couldn't even bring themselves to just say that he did something bad. They couldn't do it. They couldn't do it. They could not do it. None of them had any spine on the Ukraine issue. I think Chris Christie had a spine there, but he's Christie, so nobody cares. He's literally unironically polling at 1%. So actually, who gives a shit? Basically, Vivek was the one who had the most insane take where he said that we need to stop giving money to Ukraine because they're evil and literally nobody cares, and being against Russia invading and taking all of Ukraine is driving Russia into China's arms, and China and Russia together would like destroy America or something. And so we need to just give Russia whatever they want, or else they're going to go to China to get whatever they want. And so we should just do it for them so they don't like team up with China to beat our ass, I guess, even though we're bigger than both of them together. But okay, I guess whatever. Sure. He got attacked on Israel. Apparently he's anti-Israel. Or or at least he's anti-giving money to Israel. He seems like big on the sort of like really incoherent foreign policy type bullshit that a lot of people who are new to politics get into. Like they have really strong takes, but they never really think super highly about those strong takes and how difficult foreign policy actually is. And so they come out with like hot takes and bumper stickers, but outside of that are kind of just non-existent when it comes to any of their opinions. Right. It's just super weird. But he parlayed the idea of the invasion in Ukraine being nowhere near as bad, or at least not a priority, as the invasion of Mexicans coming into the country. And he echoed Pant Piss when he said that, well, Pant Piss had a really big moment in the debate as well. Big in a bad reason. Big in the same way that, like, I don't know, Hitler being at a debate stage is like a big moment. But like he basically said that he was going to use force, and he said what did he say specifically? That he was going to shoot people illegally crossing the border stone cold dead. Like if you tried to cross the border illegally, and he tried to say it was only for like cartels, but I like for like cartels, they showed like a guy holding a gun once near the border, and they said this is the cartels. They said that they're going to shoot them stone cold dead, people who cross the border. This is on the heels of Abbott and crew setting up literal razor blades as a saw trap for children crossing the border. And I think at this moment in time, at least 3 human bodies were found stuck to the buoys with saw blades on them that they installed on the border. right? But one second, Vivek, like I said, Vivek had a big moment there, with the whole climate change type stuff, where he said specifically. Oh, actually, did we get to that? Wait, did we get to that? Wait. But I didn't talk about it. Sorry. Reverse real quick. On the climate change stuff, Vivek had a big moment on the climate change stuff, once again for a horrible, terrible, garbage reason. But basically, what his big point was him saying that climate change was a hoax and fake. They had another thing where they asked everybody to raise their hands up if they thought that humans were doing climate change. Almost literally none of them did. And Vivek went even further by saying not only is human climate change not real, but also climate change is a hoax. And this is a live poll that a lot of pollsters do during these debates, where they have people who are independents, who claim to be independents, watching, and they in real time give their opinions about what's going on. I just want you to take a look at this line. Down mean bad, up mean good.
Let's be honest as Republicans. I'm the only person on the stage who isn't bought and paid for, so I can say this. The climate change agenda is a hoax. The climate change agenda is a hoax. And we have to declare independence.
Oop, and it's over. And it's gone.
The anti-carbon agenda is the wet blanket on our economy.
Oop.
And so the reality is more people are dying.
Here, let me show you. Let me move my camera really quick. It went down so far you can barely see it. There you go. There it is. So green is men, yellow female. Green is male, yellow female. The males apparently didn't care that much about the climate change being a hoax. The females hated it. Vivek is not here for the girls. The girls hate Vivek, actually, which is super interesting. Males just seem kind of stupid.
This meme is very real.
In this regard, and it seemed like in other regards as well. But like the females seem to be going at it. They know what's going on here. And the idea that climate change is a hoax is just strange, but okay. Super interesting. Thank you, Vivek. Very uncool, actually. The females know. That is true. That is true. The females know what's going on. The females be listening. What's wrong with men? Listen, that's a whole nother video that we can talk about, like problems that men and women have. But listen, not at the moment. Okay, we'll get to it later. On top of that, like as I said, Pant Piss said that he wanted to kill everybody crossing the border.
It's not a territorial dispute
President
either.
of the United States, your first obligation is to defend our country and its people, and that means you're sending all this money, but you're not doing what we need to do to secure our own border. We have tens of thousands.
Anyways.
Border. That's going to be the last thing they do. We're going to use force, and we're going to leave them stone cold dead.
Anyway, yeah, there you go.
I'm not going to send troops to Ukraine, but I am going to send them to our southern border. When these drug pushers are bringing fentanyl across the border, that's going to be the last thing they do. We're going to use force, and we're going to leave them stone cold dead.
Just so you know, drug trafficking at all is not like a something that you just kill people for. You don't have the authorization to just shoot somebody who has drugs on them. You can't just shoot, like if they're not violent and you just find drugs in their backpack, you can't just kill them that's not law and order. That's just execution. You're just executing people. And cops aren't supposed to do that. I know they do, but they're not supposed to. You're not supposed to make it you're not supposed to make extrajudicial execution a policy. That's not how that works. But okay, cheering on war crimes. It's not even war crimes, because I feel like war crimes plays into their idea that we're in the war, when what we're actually in is a humanitarian crisis of our own making. What we did in South America, South and Central America over the last century or more, in the idea of usurping governments, putting through banana republics, destroying governments, pushing through fascist leaders that are pro-American, or at least in name only, for own personal gain, leading to these countries being as bad as they are and cartels being as bad as they are, and allowing them to have that much power, and not doing anything about the weak governments that we left because we could still use them for American companies to go in and make money off of them. It is a crisis of our own making, and people crossing the border are suffering way more than your average American is with anything that's happening there. So yeah, I think all of this should, if we're gonna be honest, I think almost every single problem stemming from that in Central and South America rests on our shoulders, and that we have the obligation morally and geopolitically to fix. Period. Right? No matter, like, I know a lot of people don't like that, but I know a lot of people don't like taking responsibilities for things that them and their groups have done wrong. So obviously it's not really surprising to me. But Me when I'm sowing. Me when I'm reaping. Oh man, what the hell? I can't. Why would you do this to me? How could you do this to me? Why am listen, all right, listen. Born to sow, forced to reap. Life is a fuck. Like it's really sad, the type of world that we live in. It really does suck, and I can't possibly imagine. But yeah, I completely agree. If we were in a war, it would definitely be war crimes. But yeah, it's just crazy, the type of shit that's going on right now. Absolutely wild. And I wanted to show you the razor blades as well, to show you that I'm not lying about they're actually putting razor blades at the border. So here's what he did. Basically, they constructed a sort of saw trap where they put razor blades in between buoys on the Rio Grande to stop people from being able to get into the US. And the buoys are like, they spin so you can't climb them, and the razor blades will and then they get wet and slippery, and then you'll fall into the razor blades, and they'll cut your arm open. Or they'll cut your torso open or leg open or something. So yeah, so basically they made you're right. They made these death balls with actual razor blades on them. Actual wood cutting and mechanical razor blades on them for express purpose of harming human beings. Thank you, Twitter. Very interesting. I love it when it just randomly reloads my page for no reason. One of my favorite Twitter moments, actually. And if you want to know if this was really real, if you were just wondering if that was just some video, no, it's true. This is from Dallas-Fort Worth, NBC5 News. Governor Abbott pushes back after DOJ says razor wire and razor buoys along the border are illegal and must be removed. We will continue to deploy as many razor blades that we possibly can. And if you're wondering if these razor blades have killed people, yes, they found 3 human bodies stuck to them so far. So, in Greg Abbott's opinion, they work like fly traps, basically, to kill people across the border. Sorry, 2 dead so far, including young children, have been killed with the razor wire and razor buoys. The Bears' discovery of bodies comes just 2 weeks after they documented how migrants, including young children, have been ensnared and slashed by razor wire across the border. So yeah, they have killed people so far. A 20-year-old man from Honduras was murdered by, these things. And apparently DeSantis wants to do this, but on a much greater scale. Instead of just leaving things that can kill people, he wants to actively kill people instead. So very interesting. Very interesting. Average Republican moment. Vivek, coming back around to the Ukraine stuff, Vivek said he got grilled on Israel. He said he wanted to take money away from Israel. He said he likes Israel, but we shouldn't be giving money to Israel. We should just be doing what Israel does. He said that he didn't say it in these exact words, but he basically said that he likes Israel's foreign policy, especially when it pertains to Palestine. And so he wants to basically institute a genocidal apartheid state, but against Mexico, to protect our border against illegals. And on top of that, DeSantis went even further by saying that not only should we institute a genocidal apartheid state where we just kill people, crossing the border. So but he said earlier in the debate, but he actually one-upped himself by saying specifically that we need to invade Mexico. He's in favor of invading Mexico to stop the cartels. He's in favor of doing drone strikes in Mexico and sending troops into Mexico and to the border and past the border into Mexico to try to take down the cartels or something. This has been a genocide as a treat. Can that be seen as an act of war? Yes. Sending troops and bombs into a country is indeed an act of war. So basically he wants to declare war on Mexico for Mexico having a problem with the cartels that is, once again, stems from our meddling in Central and South America and Mexico and their politics. But, okay, whatever, I guess, sure. That got a lot of claps. Invading Mexico, killing migrants at the border, all of that shit got a lot of claps from conservatives who were in the audience. And on top of that as well, after that, they talked about how they hate the IRS. And not only do they hate the IRS, they want to defund the IRS, fire the IRS, basically stop the IRS from being able to function almost at all, which makes perfect sense because they're rich. Rich people are the ones that get clapped the most by IRS meddling, and like doing, checks into their finances and stuff like that. So obviously they hate it. Dude, these people are more against the IRS than your average poor person is against like the local infamous shitty beat cop, which is wild to me. These people are losing their minds, absolutely losing their minds over the IRS. They had an entire section about each other one-upping each other about what the horrible things that they would like to do to the IRS and IRS agents. It's just crazy stuff. Another person, I think it was Vivek, said that he wanted to a bunch of people on stage piss Vivek, and I think another person said that they wanted to just dissolve the Department of Education, which makes perfect sense because they're Republicans. Obviously, education is antithetical to a lot of their political positions. And they also want to bust all teacher unions, and they think that would increase test scores. The question was, America lacks behind the rest of the world in test scores. What would you do to increase test scores? And they said they would abolish the Department of Education and bust all teachers unions, who once again fight for better rights for kids in schools, I guess, or something. And this doesn't make any sense because they think that liberals make education worse, even though the states with the highest public education systems are left-wing states: Massachusetts, Connecticut, Jersey, Wisconsin, Virginia, New Hampshire. There's Nebraska that's up there. Good job for you. But most of the people in Nebraska live in Omaha, which is left wing. Maryland, Florida was up there, but it's 9th. Dakota, the only time when you really start to see like actual like kind of even hardcore right wing states like North Dakota comes in 10th. After that is Indiana and Utah. They're down there, but the closer you get to the bottom, the more conservative the place gets, except for New Mexico, which is the worst. But there's Oklahoma, obviously Arizona, which until very recently, it has been a hardcore Republican place. West Virginia, obviously, Alaska, Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, Nevada's down there as well, but they have a lot of Republicans as well. So things aren't as good as they would like to pretend that it is. These ghouls just want to imitate Russia and invade the neighboring country they deem inferior to the U.S. Yeah. I mean, they want to imitate Russia when it comes to the control of the media and its people. So, I mean, it totally makes sense. It's not surprising to me. And also they said like Vivek did something that was so incredibly interesting to me. It completely proves that bro has actually no clue what the fuck is going on. Is that he said that what he wanted to do was open up school choice so that any kid can go to any school that they want, period. Right? Which doesn't make any sense because he would appeal to the ultra rich, or the very rich NIMBYs. Okay, those like suburban NIMBYs, the sort of like California rich Republicans, the New York rich Republicans. Those guys are the people that would be like, it's supposed to be his base that he's supposed to be appealing to and getting like donation money from. But that doesn't make any sense why he would be running like that. Why he would say that, because those people are completely against it. Have you ever wondered why? You ever heard your parents say that you can't go to another school, even though it's like almost right next to you? Is because it's not in your district. That NIMBYs did that to stop like poor kids from going to nice schools because like obviously they don't want the poor kids in the nice schools. If you ever wondered why poor schools stay poor, even though across the street there's a rich school that just stays rich, NIMBYs did that. So your tax dollars go to only one school, and if they go to only certain schools in your area, in your district, and if the schools aren't in your district, then your money doesn't go to them, which seems like it would make some amount of sense. But if you think about it, poor neighborhoods have poor schools, and poor schools have no resources, and no resources mean that kids learn less and they learn worse, meaning that they're going to end up probably, once they're done, with worse education, and worse education probably means that you're going to be more poor, leading to you living in the same areas of your poor family, and leading to you paying money or almost no money or no money at all into more poor schools, leading to your children going to poor schools. And so that's a cycle that stays that way. And when you're rich, the cycle stays that way. You stay rich, the poor stay poor, the rich stay rich and get richer, and the poor stay poor and get poorer. And so you have these two areas, these two schools that can be right next to each other, one with a leaky roof and the other one with a living waterfall wall. And so and that was specifically put together by NIMBYs because they don't want their money to go to poor schools because they want because they don't give a shit about the poor schools and the poor people that live there. They want their money to go to rich schools and to their children that live in this area, and they only pay for that. And the poor kids don't have the opportunity to go to that school. And so breaking that up is one of the most difficult local things that you can ever do as a local politician, because those rich people have more time, are more likely to be retired, more likely to have more free time, more likely to go to those meetings, to know that those meetings are happening, to, you know, sway and throw their dick around and throw money around to get you out of office and to be able to be able to scare you into doing their will, even though they're a minority of the people in that area, because a lot of the poor people don't go to city council meetings. They may not even know when it's happening. And those NIMBYs are also pushing a lot of big private schools as well. That they can even like funnel their kids into that. And then their money would almost always go to that, or only go to that, really. And they push through laws that their money wouldn't have to go to those public schools as well. There's a big reason why conservatives hate a lot of public schools. And so that's basically what's going on. It makes no sense that he would like be for that, even though I think it is an okay idea in like aggregate, that you would, that like outside of the teacher union bullshit, like I think it's an okay idea in aggregate that you should be, you know, kids could go to whatever school that they want. It's just not possible for you to believe that and be a Republican. Last thing on here was that one of the last things on here is that the transphobia was strong, but it seems like they're running out of transphobia steam. All of them did the whole like, yeah, trans people bad, I guess, but like, and then they deflected to like other education issues about how the left are indoctrinating children into thinking that trans people are real and that like their dick shouldn't rule their entire lives or whatever, and all that type of bullshit. That was basically what was going on. And they deflected really hard, which I just thought was super interesting, because none of them, not even Pant Piss, leaned into the transphobia really hard. They spent most of their time just being like, yeah, I guess trans people are bad or whatever, but, and then they kind of deflected to something else, which is really interesting. I feel like the sort of like transphobia, like the transphobia thing that they have going on for a while isn't here to last, and the proof of it seems to be in that area, that they just aren't prepared to keep this fight going on, which I think is going to be another point of contention between them and the sort of like Trumpian and like hardcore conservative culture war Republicans, because they're all like full force on that type of bullshit, right? But they're full force on that type of like culture war shit. Like Charlie Kirk, who has a lot of sway in the party, he's full force into like the trans people have to be eradicated type meme, right? But in my opinion, but they just weren't. They weren't able to commit to that, and I feel like there's going to be another point of contention for them in the conservative civil war to come. So, with that being said, that was the conservative clown show. Here again, the horrible primary, horrible debate. Had almost no policy whatsoever. It was so bad, in fact, that they got called out by Jesse Waters. They got called out by Jesse Waters for not having any policy positions, which I thought was insane to me. Take a look at this.
We don't deal with this now. They're going to be dealing with us later.
True. And on our turf.
Yeah.
I didn't understand the solution. Mm-hmm. I didn't get any specifics. Yes, we have to get tough on the border. Yes, Trump said that we have to designate cartels terror organizations, and then that can kind of ratchet up the CIA, our paramilitary operations. But what does that look like? Mm-hmm. They're just kind of following what Fox has said or following what Trump has said. What does it mean when you're going to have Border Patrol agents shooting coyotes in Texas? What do you mean by that? Yeah. We're just going to have everybody shooting anybody that comes across the border? How do you know they're a coyote? And they say you want to stop fentanyl coming in from China. Well, how? How are they going to make China stop shipping it? How are they going to partner with the Mexican military? Oh, all of a sudden we're partnering with the Mexican military? All of a sudden? How are we going to do that? And you trust the Mexican military? Mexican military is getting outgunned by the cartels. Mm-hmm. Does the Mexican military want to partner with us? Because they're on the take from the cartels. And it wasn't just the border. We didn't hear specifics on how they're going to reduce inflation. Are you going to throw Powell out the door? What are you going to do to make people earn more money? We didn't hear a lot of specifics last night. And like a father, I'm disappointed.
Oh, wow.
And that's, if it's so bad that even Fox News cooks the entire crowd, all of them, that should tell you how bad things really were. They're Fox News. They're Fox News. And Jesse is the head of Fox News. Basically, he's the one he's like the big talking head that was groomed to be like the new star after Tuck got the boot. So yeah, libbed up Fox, right? Even them are like, nothing happened. And so if that's the case, then God, what am I supposed to say? Besides, these people are fucking stupid. It's just crazy to me. But cool, I guess. Super interesting. These guys aren't going anywhere. All of them are polling 40 points below Trump. Trump, I think right now it's like 60% for Donald Trump, and everybody else is like way lower in everything. Vivek's the only one who came out to be like pretending to be Trump light, and on that note, he dropped the ball on basically everything. He was a complete clown on basically everything. I don't think he's going to be treated seriously. And on top of that, he tried to pretend to say that God was real by trying to pretend to be Christian, even though he's Hindi. He's Hindu. He believes in, he's Hindu. He said God is real, and he said God bless. Bro's Hindu. Like, what the fuck? What do you believe? I don't know. I think at this point, I think it's literally nothing. God bless. Which one? I know, right? Like, he's trying to appeal to the people who would tell him he's worshiping demons to his face. I think he's looking for a cabinet position. I think he's looking for a cabinet position. I think he's looking for a vice president position. Maybe he's going to do the same. Maybe Trump is going to do the opposite thing that Obama did with Biden, where Obama hired Biden to be his vice president because he wanted to show that he wasn't like one of those uppity blacks who's like who can't work with people who are kind of racist. So he may do the opposite thing, where he's, to prove that how not racist he is, he has this like Indian guy working for him. My accountant is Indian. But yeah, that's the debate, everyone. Trump won. He wasn't even there. And I think actually none of them showing up would have been better than them showing up, it seems like, at the end, except for Swami. Maybe he could have gotten some extra clout off of this. Maybe he'll get some extra money off of this. Pant Piss, he did kind of like exactly how people would expect. Not super interesting. Everybody else was a loser. I think Nikki Haley may get a boost out of this from what I've seen, but at the end of the day, they're all losing 60 points to Trump anyway. So I guess fodder Team 6 did exactly what they were expected to do. Nothing. Thanks for watching. Come here. Oh. Hi. Oh, sorry. I didn't see you there. If you're enjoying the content, hit the subscribe button. If you don't, it'll make Boo very sad. I know a bunch of you who are watching are not subscribed. Join the frenzy. You won't regret it. Thank you, Boo.